once again to another exciting, action packed episode of the Forward Podcast. I'm Derrick Day, and we are in a new season of the podcast, excuse me, where I'm talking about things that are helpful because there's a lot on my mind, and I could be topical. And right now war in Ukraine is a big deal, and if you want to know what some of my thoughts are on that, then I would encourage you to go back and check out Freeology Friday from day before yesterday, where Aaron Tomlinson and we talked about that extensively, and I'm going to talk about that more in the future, but that's not my focus right now. Basically, what I want to do is I want to give you tools that will help you live your life in such a way that you are experiencing fullness, that you are experiencing greatness, that you are experiencing joy, happiness, all of that, right? So these are the things that we're working on this season. So I want to talk about being your highest, best, authentic self. Now, if you've been following any of my multimedia for a while, you know that I have. This is something that I have talked about, and this is something that is very important to me, very near and dear to me. And I think that it's very important to you, that it'll help you as well. And my cat is being extremely busy today. Go away, Smokey. Anyway, um, one of the things that people talk about is being yourself. Well, here's the thing, it's hard to be yourself when you don't love yourself. And when I talk about love, understand this, whenever I talk about love, whenever I mention the word love, I am talking about empathy and compassion, right? And you not only have to have empathy and compassion for others, but you need to have empathy and compassion for yourself. You have to be willing to look at the world through the lens of your eyes and walk a mile in your own footsteps. Because if you don't understand you, no one is going to understand you. Okay? So you have to actually love yourself. The second thing is you really need to learn to like yourself. I tell people all the time that the most successful marriages, the most successful relationships, the most successful friendships are when people have a genuine affinity for each other. In other words, they like each other. I tell my sons all the time that, listen, when you're out there shopping for a mate, or you're looking for the some criteria to be filled for a mate, that what you're looking at is you people think, well, I want to love this person, and that's great. And people say, well, I want to be attracted to this person, and that's great. But at the end of the day, love, the passion, the fire, eventually that dies out. Well, I won't say it dies out, but it dims. It gets to the point where it's not burning as hot as it once was. And so that will die down, and we are not always going to be as good looking as we are like in our younger days. We're not going to have the smoking hot body that we had in our younger days. Things are going to change. We're not going to be as clean as all of that stuff. We're going to change as we get older. We change. And if you don't like the person who you have signed up to spend your life with, you're gonna I mean, listen, you will live a life of misery. And we don't want to do that. We want to get past misery and be in joy. Okay. So you have to love yourself, you have to like yourself, but at the same time you have to take care of yourself. You have to basically eat right, exercise, make sure that like if you have any medical conditions, that you're dealing with those, right? All of these things, you have to take all of this in consideration, because this is going to help you be your best and highest self. Now, I'm going to take another step forward here, and people talk about being yourself. And people will say, well, be yourself because everyone else is already taken. And that makes sense. But here's the thing, you're created unique to be something. And I'm not, this isn't one of those like religious, purpose things, like God has a purpose for it. No, that's not what I'm saying. Basically, everybody has a certain amount of potential baked into them. And within this potential, there's a spectrum of potential purpose. And you can land anywhere in this spectrum, or you can float from one area of the spectrum to another. It's very fluid. You're not just created to sing, like you have a talent for singing. That may not be the only thing that you're created to do. Well, I won't say created to do, but let me it may not be the only thing that you're supposed to do. Oh my God. I'm I'm looking at the comments. I'm sorry. And I'm not supposed to do that while I'm podcasting. But, but I'm gonna get to that. Sarwar. Motherfucker. Anyway, uh you and here's you're not created. You're basically you're a manifestation of energy in in this physical realm, right? And that manifestation can manifest in multiple ways. It can, it can be, it's very fluid. So just because you could play basketball doesn't mean that you're going to be a basketball player. Derek Jeter, Hall of Fame baseball player for the Yankees. Derek Jeter's main sport was basketball. He was a phenom at basketball. and but here he is, he's a Hall of Fame baseball player. Terrell Owens, who played in the NFL, his main sport was basketball. They're um uh, Kyler Murray for the Arizona Cardinals and Russell Wilson for the Seattle Seahawks. Both of these guys are tremendous baseball players, in addition to being championship NFL quarterbacks. So things are very fluid. Or man, there are people like the late great Chadwick Boseman. I'm sorry. He not only was a great actor, but he was a great athlete and he was a great singer too. A lot of people don't know that. So the thing is, there are many things that you can do within the realm of your potential. So don't get caught up in fulfilling some purpose. And let me tell you a quick story, because this is something someone told me once and it really blew my mind. It was a young man, and he was a physician, and he was being awarded, or he was being honored at an awards banquet. And people got up and they talked about his bedside manner, and they talked about his care and his consideration, and they talked about how he was just very thorough in all of his medical diagnoses and all of this stuff. And people were just fawning on him and heaping praise on him. And so when it was finally his turn to get up to speak, he got up to the podium and he just began to cry. He began to cry. And so he was crying so uncontrollably that his parents had to step up to the podium, get him out of the podium, and get him out of the room. And so they're driving him home, and he's in the car weeping. And his parents said, why are you crying? This is the day where you're being honored. This is the day where you're being celebrated. And here you are, you're embarrassing us, and you're embarrassing everybody by crying. And you need to get yourself together. And the son said to his parents, he said, I never wanted to be a physician. When I was young, you guys put me in violin lessons, and I got good at it. And I love the violin, and I love making music. I love writing music, and I love performing. But it was you who insisted that I develop these skills, and that you insisted that I go to college, and you insisted that I go to medical school. So I never wanted to be a doctor. This is your dream. This is your night. This is not for me. I wanted to play the violin. And I don't know whether that's a true story or not, but somebody told me that. And Ben Urban, you said, hey, we could be Renaissance people. You're absolutely right. We absolutely can be Renaissance people. So that is like, don't pigeonhole yourself. Even though you might be good at something, don't think that that's the end game for you, because it's not. You have potential to do many things, and we're in this life to experience life to the fullest. So let's do that. Now, when I talk about being your best self, I want to talk about being your best authentic self. Because listen, you can bullshit someone else for a season, maybe even a lot of people for a season, but you can never bullshit yourself. There's an old saying, to thine own self be true. To thine own self be true. And that means that if you can't be true with you, you can't be true with anyone else. If you're not true with you, if you lie to you, and and understand, you will never ever 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 be successful in lying to yourself. Again, you can bullshit other people, but you will never be able to bullshit yourself. You know you. So the thing is, you want to be your best self, the best manifestation, the best iteration, the best expression of yourself, but you want to be authentic. And one of the things that we suffer from is we suffer from things like being told as a child what you're going to grow up to be, being told in school what it is that you're good at, being told by standardized tests that you should do this or do that. Okay. And what happens is you wind up being in a position where you're essentially operating an imposter syndrome. In other words, and you might think that you're not good at something, but you really are good at something, and it gets really confusing. And what happens is that you're not experiencing authenticity. You're not being real. And if you can be real with my cat, he is just talking. Do you guys hear him? He's just chatty. But anyway, you want to be as authentic as possible, because let me tell you something, real recognizes real. And not only does real recognize real, but real cultivates real. In other words, if you are your best authentic self, if you are real with yourself, then what happens is you are going to attract other people who are either real with themselves or who are looking for the real in themselves. That's powerful, because that gives you the opportunity to influence others in a very positive, meaningful way. And here's the thing, like in real estate, they have a term called highest and best use. And highest and best use is how municipalities go about zoning. And zoning basically says, what can you do with a piece of property in a particular area? So that you have areas like here where I live, this is zoned residential, but a half a mile east of here, or a half a mile west of here, I'm sorry, it's basically zoned commercial. And there are areas here that are zoned for business, zoned for industrial, zoned for agricultural, and all of these things. Basically, the zoning committees decide that, based on the location, based on the geography, based on the mineral rights and things like that, what is the best highest use for this property. So when you have to decide, not anyone else. Mom and daddy can't tell you what you should do. Your teachers can't tell you what you should do. Your pastor can't tell you what you should do. You have to decide what is your highest and best use. And one of the things that I always say, that if you look at a problem in the world and say, how can I impact this in a positive way? Because I tell my sons all the time that he who solves problems gets paid. That's the way it works. And the people who solve the greatest problems, or who are able to operate, because here are some things, like, for example, professional athletes and entertainers, they're not problem solvers. What they are is they have a gift or a talent that operates in a rarefied space. And so what they're being compensated for is the scarcity of their talent. And that's why, so there are some people that are able to take advantage of scarcity, but for the majority of us, that we have to work on what can we contribute to humanity that improves the overall lot and condition of humanity. And that is how we get paid. So what you have to do is look at what is going on in the world. What are the basic needs of humanity? And then look at yourself and say, where am I gifted? Where am I talented? Where am I knowledgeable? Where am I able to fashion myself into something that can contribute to this in a positive way? And then in doing that, not only will you get paid, but you will find joy in your being, because now what you're doing is you're operating in something that is basically, it's effortless for you. I always look at Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is like my case study in this, because Tiger Woods made golf look so easy that everybody wanted to play golf. Now, nobody is, honestly, no one is going to be as good as Tiger Woods. This guy is amazing. But it was like the effortlessness of his swing, how he handled his short game, all of that stuff. Basically, these were things that made Tiger Tiger. But people looked at that, and it looked so easy. They say, "Hey, I can do that too." Well, here's the other thing too, is that don't get caught up and think that just because you think it looks easy that you can do it. That's not basically what I'm saying, is that you find what is effortless and graceful and fun for you, and then do that. Because the other thing too, part of being authentic is being happy. Authentic people are the happiest people on the planet. People who are comfortable in their own skin, people who are comfortable in their own activities, people who are comfortable in their words and their thoughts, people who can be themselves by themselves without anyone watching. These are the happiest people in the world. And if you learn to be comfortable with yourself, to love yourself, to like yourself, and to understand what your capabilities are within the spectrum of your potential, and you begin to operate in those things, and you operate, your fluid, your effortless, you're graceful in all of these things, then here's what happens. Number one, you'll find that things that you struggled for in the past now come to you easily. That's number one. Number two, the relationships that you hope to have in your life, they will also become effortless, because again, it's like, people who like themselves attract people who like themselves. And so you're going to be happier because you're around happier people. Because you like yourself, you're going to attract people who like themselves. And what happens then is you basically create a snowball effect that not only works within your inner circle, but it begins to cascade outward. It's like Simon Sinek's golden circle rule. I mean, it starts with why and expands outward. Who, what, when, where, right? That is what we're trying to get to. But listen, people will tell you, if you're not where you want to be, fake it till you make it. And if you're in the religious circles, people will say, well, faith it till you make it. And I'm going to tell you, both of those are complete and utter bullshit because you can't fake it long enough to succeed. And we what we don't want to do is again slip back into inauthenticity. We want to be as real as we can be. And you could be totally real. You could be totally transparent. You could be totally, I mean, totally real. And that's where we want to be. So that pretty much wraps up where I'm going with the podcast for right now. And as always, I'm going to put the link out here in the chat. And if you are so inclined, you may join. But this is funny. I want to go back here to this guy, uh, Sarwar Balak. He said, "You will rest in hell, bro." I'm like, why the fuck does anybody say that? You know, I don't get that because first of all, there is no hell because there's no God to put you in hell. Let me just get that out of the way. And second of all, why come to somebody just to simply matter of fact, this is what I'm going to do next week. I want you guys to stay tuned for this because next week I'm going to talk about the difference between a critique and a criticism. Because let me tell you this, and I'm not even going to get into it, but just suffice it to say that next week I'm going to talk about critique versus criticism. Um, but anyway, Sarwar Balak, fuck you. That's what I have to say. You know, honestly, I used to be real kind about these things and handle everybody with love. But honestly, man, listen, I'm gonna love myself, and I'm gonna love the people who love me, and all this stuff about biblical love and loving your neighbor and all this. Listen, I'm gonna I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just not. you know, because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, trying to love people who they have no concern for you. No, they don't have your best interests at heart, or even if they're harboring ill will for you. Honestly, listen, guys, fuck these people. If they're coming to your life to try to make things difficult, make things hard for you, try to oppress you or depress you or otherwise harm you. Listen, honestly, fuck them. I'm serious. I've just reached that point. I'm not gonna try to convince you to love me or try to convince or convince myself to love you. I'm just not. And that might make me a horrible person. If it is, so be it. But honestly, if the whole love your neighbor thing worked, then black folks wouldn't be getting slaughtered by police. you know and this whole thing about the war in Ukraine. Honestly, people say pray for Ukraine, but shit, these same people that say pray for Ukraine, they weren't praying for people like Ahmaud Arbery. you know, they 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 weren't praying for people like that. So no, I'm not going down that road. So anyway, C. Rodriguez, she says, I'm the most beautiful novel ever written. I agree with that. We are all that beautiful novel. Erica Nielsen says, she's replying to Sarwar, there is no hell, silly. Study history. Man made God. Hell is a human fantasy made us to feel better if we play along. Use your brain. You goddamn right, Erica. Esther Amiga says, so true and indeed powerful. And I already mentioned what Ben Urban said. We can be Renaissance people. Be a Renaissance person. Shit, draw, paint, play piano, be a ornithologist or a horticulturalist. Ornithologist is a bird studier, and a horticulturalist is someone who deals with plants. But do different stuff. Enjoy your life. you know. Gwendolyn says, "LOL." Yeah, Absolutely. Simon Yap, good morning, man. My brother in Malaysia. It's always good to see you. Michael Guerrero Santos, hello. Wayne Wilson says, good morning, brother Derek. Thank you. So good to see you. But um, let's see who else. Esther Amiga says, that's funny. I thought Sarwar was complimenting you by saying you're so filled with peace and rest, even in hell, you would be at rest. No, I don't believe that. I think that he was trying to take a swipe at me. And actually, you know, shame on me. It took me out of my game when I saw it because I wanted to stop immediately and just cuss him the fuck out. That's what I wanted to do, but I didn't. I just had to laugh because it's like, you know, you ain't got shit else better to do on a Sunday morning than to come on and condemn somebody that's actually out there expending his social capital to try to help people. You know, that's funny. Thanks, Ben. He's Free Rider. She says, "Hey there." But Ben says, "This is always great, Derek. Thank you for always being authentic, genuine article. I do my best, Ben. I don't get it right 100% of the time, but I try to be my best authentic self because again, what this does, this rubs off on people. This is contagious and it helps people. So that's my goal. Honestly, y'all hear me. I wish I could give you a snapshot of my life, but at the same time, I'm like leery of doing that because when you do stuff like that, people say, "Oh, you're bragging," right? And I don't want to get caught up in that. But I'm gonna tell you something. I don't have to do another video. I don't have to do anything. Yeah, I could be cool. I could close my laptop and say fuck it and go on and live my life, and I'll be totally content. I do what I do because I really love and want to help people. That's my goal. That's my aim. That's what I strive to do. So I put my emotional, spiritual, intellectual, social, and even physical capital at risk to do that. That's me. Your mileage may vary. Taryn Jerome Harris is on, my man. He says, good morning to you, brother Derek. I just woke up. Hey, you want to join in so we can see your bed hair, man? Oh, man. So I'm going to put the link in here one more time in case anybody wants to join in. You're more than welcome. I want to make this available so that people can come on and ask questions. And I'll tell you something. If you come on with some bullshit, I'll roast you. you know, I'm just gonna put it out there. Um, and I'm not saying that I don't want to create an environment of fear where people don't want to chime in because I'm not just going to go at the only time I'm going at anybody is like if they come at me sideways and they try to attack me, then I'll let them feel the full brunt of throat punch Derek. That's me who I used to be, but I'm actually I'm actually coming around full circle to that. Uh-oh, somebody's jumping in. Michael Santos is here. Michael, are you there? Hello, Michael. Hello, Michael. I can't hear you. You're in the green room and I just hit you just left. Okay. And give it a few more minutes. As I kind of wrapped up early. Normally I try to go about 22 minutes. This time we went 21. Um, and then I have to go in and edit this, and I've been really slack about going in and actually getting these up on iTunes, but they will be up there, so you can go back and listen, they'll be edit all of the distractions, times when I coughed or whatever, I edit those out, and it's all nice and fluid and smooth and everything. So Erica Nielsen says, Thanks for bringing authenticity up. It ain't easy unless you're 100% ready to deal with the fallout. So few atheists. No, actually, Erica, there are a lot of atheists. I, I gotta share this. This is a true story that I've been on social media for about 12 years now, and when I started my public page, it was originally called Derrick Day Ministries, and now it's Derrick Day Multimedia. But when I first started, I had like a couple of hundred followers of my page, and then that took a jump up to a couple of thousand, and then I'm not really sure where the tipping point was, but I went up to like 20,000 followers. And that was really amazing. But then I came out and said I was not a Trump supporter, and so I lost like about 4,000 followers right then and there. And then when I came out and said I was an atheist, then I lost a couple of more thousand. But now we're back up to like about 17,000 on that page, and the average weekly reach is about a quarter of a million. But here's the interesting thing is that those numbers actually got to where they were when I actually uh, made my transition in atheism. It, in other words, as a Christian, I never had that kind of reach. But now as an atheist, because number one, I've found my tribe. I found more atheists out there, and there are a lot of them, and a lot of them that are really vocal, and a lot of them that are really they're really making an impact. And so I'm really grateful for being connected with those. But also, there are people who were flirting with atheism in different religious areas, and so this page has helped them to get out of religion, help them get free. So I'm like really grateful for that. And then the funny thing is that there are some people they're Christians that tune in on a regular basis just to see what I'll say next because they want to find something to argue about, you know. And here's the thing. I couch disagreement. I don't have a problem with disagreement. What I do have a problem with is people that try to make an argument out of it when you're trying to press your will upon mine. At that point, the conversation dies. And not only that, um, in a lot of cases, I delete and block them because I just don't have time for that kind of bullshit. But that's me. But now, like I said, between Facebook, my Facebook page, my Twitter page, my Instagram feed, I'm reaching about 250,000 to 300,000 people a week. Last year, or between May and September, that number was like 2.5 million. It went up to that. It ramped up to that, and it stayed there for a while. I felt like it was almost like being a musician with a hit record. I was on the Billboard Hot 100 for a minute, and it was really cool. But all good things come to an end. So anyway, um, Erica Nielsen says, "Are they closet atheists?" Not me. No, I'm out. Freya says she's got to bring in the horses, but she'll be back shortly. Looking forward to the playback. So that's it. So that's pretty much it, guys. Nobody else has joined in. But look, I'm looking forward to. Um, Aaron and I are going to do Freeology Friday, and we're talking about some guests that we're going to have come aboard, and share the stage with us, and we're looking forward to that because there's some people out here that are saying some really cool things, and we want to make sure that you hear them, hear those voices. And so until next Friday, make sure you tune in to Freeology Friday, and then also keep an eye out for this Tuesday. A new episode of the Heretic Happy Hour is going to drop, where me and Katie Valentine, Keith Giles, and Matthew DiStefano, where we're going to we take on some difficult, challenging biblical subjects. And I'm going to tell you something. Those are the only three people. Well, actually, there's one more person, and that's Simon Yap. But those are the only four people in the world that I have biblical conversations with. Other than that, the Bible to me is bullshit. It's a waste of time, and I don't fuck with it. So that's me. Um, so thank you, Michael. Sorry you couldn't make it on. That was really cool that you tried. But until next time, may you be happy, may you be well, may you be filled with peace.